Alright, section 1.5 is about solving inequalities. This lesson doesn't focus much on the solving portion again because you've kind of seen that already in your algebra. Again, if you need that, make sure you get some assistance on your solving. But again, instead we're going to look at some tricky situations you're going to bump into and try to give you the tools necessary. So in order to graph an inequality, the variable should be on the left side. The reason we do that is because whenever you graph y is greater than 6, you want to go ahead and mark your 6. Remember that this is an open circle. And the way I tell it is if the variable's on the left, if this is pointing to the right, then it means that your arrow, the tip of your arrow, matches the symbol. And so that's pretty much how you graph it. T is less than or equal to 3, or sorry, negative 3. Put your negative 3 there. Again, that's a closed circle because it's less than or equal to 3, which means the 3 is included. And again, the way it helps whenever it's on the left is since the arrow is pointing to the left, the symbol points to the left. Same thing, m is less than negative 5. Put your negative 5 there as your mark. Open circle, going to the left. Done. E is greater than or equal to 1. Again, close it because of the equal to portion. And there is your graph. Alright. So that means your answer might be adjusted. So one of the three situations you're going to see is that the variable will end up on the wrong side. So again, keep in mind in this work that with most of your inequalities, answers, the variable needs to be on the left. In my tests, the variable needs to be on the left. So again, sometimes the variable's on the wrong side. Keep in mind you can move either one of these two variables, and because the 4 is smaller than the 6, it's safer to go ahead and move the 4 over here. So you go ahead and take your 7, copy the sign down, negative 2x plus 19. You then subtract 19, getting negative 12 less than negative 2x. And this is where, I'm sorry, it's not negative 2. I'm slow sometimes, sorry. So either way, 2x plus 19, subtract your 19, 2x comes down, divide by 2. You get negative 6 is less than x. And again, the reason why this is not good for us is because I really can't graph this, and again, this is not where you want to end it. So what you want to do is take your x, bring it over, take your 6, bring it over, and then flip the sign around. Notice that the sign is eating the x pointing at the 6, so when you move your x, you want to make sure the sign continues to eat the x and point at the negative 6. So that's one thing you got to look out for. Again, that people mess up on is whenever the variable gets moved around, to make sure that the symbol gets switched around. But you will see that in your homework today. Another thing might be if the variable is negative. So we have this situation here where 8 minus, I'm sorry, we're supposed to graph that too, aren't we? So we go to graph this. Again, I think on your quiz this week you're going to have to do that also, so make sure you're making sure that the graph is there. Negative 6 there, open circle, pointing to the right. So going through this one again, what if the variable is negative? Situation number 2, again, we want to move the 8 because it is the constant in the problem. Negative 5x comes down with negative 20. Now, what a lot of people do is they learn that whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, that the sign switches. Some people aren't used to that. If that's stuck with you, go with it, as long as it works with you for a consistent period. For me, what I like to remember is I will never divide or multiply by a negative, so what I do is I just switch all the signs anyway in this step. I make my 5 positive, I flip the sign around, I make my 20 positive. Again, it's 3 switches is what I do right here. Switch the sign, switch the sign, switch the sign. Then, when I go to answer it, I don't have to worry about the sign because it's already pointing the proper direction. Then when I go to graph it, you have your 4, it's closed, and it's pointing to the left. And then the last situation for your notes here is if 1 and 2 situation is combined. That's what threw me off on the first one because I noticed it was negative and on the wrong side. But either way, on this problem here, we're going to go ahead and work it out. 15 less than distribute, so negative 3x minus 12. We're then going to add 12 to both sides. getting 27 less than negative 3x. The safest way to do this for me is I don't switch sides unless my x is positive. So I'm going to solve it first and then move my x. So what I'm going to do, because this 3 is negative, is make my 3 switches. Switch, switch. Again, that's my 3 switches step, where I switch to number, switch to sign, switch to sign. Then I'll solve it as taught. I get negative 9 less than x, and now I switch the sides on everything. And that'll give me my final answer. And again, once I go to graph it, all I have to do, put my negative 9 there, open circle, pointing to the left. So again, the 3 situations are there. The homework is online. Go and work on that. Make sure you answer the question at the end. But again, the homework is online. Get the practice. Start from today. Get a few of those today. And then if you had an issue with anything from yesterday or the days before, again, keep in mind your test is next Friday. And other than that, good luck.